Hello everyone, hopefully you're all doing well. In today's video, we're about to tackle the adaptation movie of David Copperfield. The aim is to analyze the whole story to understand the meaning behind as well as the conveyed underlying themes and messages. Without further ado, let's dive right in and start the analysis. So the parts we're about to analyze are elements of the story, literary devices, narrative style and perspective, historical and cultural context, archetypes and symbols, and finally the movement. But before, let me give you a quick summary of the story. David Copperfield is a young orphan who grows up in difficult circumstances. After the death of his father, his mother marries a cruel man named Edward Murdstone, who is going to abuse little David in a horrible way. David was sent to a boarding school where he also suffers the violence of the headmaster, Mr. Creakle, and the bullying of his classmates. When his mother died, his cruel stepfather sent him to work in a factory involved in bottling and labeling wine. But he eventually escapes and travels to his grandaunt Betsey Trotwood's home in Dover. Betsey takes him in and arranges for him to attend school in Canterbury. As David grows older, he encounters a colorful cast of characters, including his friend Steerforth, the loyal Mr. Micawber, and Tommy Traddles. He falls in love with the kind-hearted Dora, but their marriage is short-lived due to her untimely death. David eventually realizes that his true love is his supportive childhood friend, Agnes Wakefield, and they marry towards the end of the story. Together, they start a family and David becomes a successful author, finding happiness and contentment in his personal and professional life. Now, going back to our analysis, let's start by elements of the story. We've got the plot, the setting, the characters, and the theme. So the plot is what we call the series of events that make up the story. Here we have the exposition, where the story opens with the introduction of the main character, David Copperfield, and his childhood in the small town of Murdstone. We are then introduced to David's family, including his mother Clara, his stepfather Mr. Murdstone, and his eccentric Aunt Betsey Trotwood. The rising action of the story is characterized by David's various struggles and challenges as he grows up. These include his mother's remarriage to Mr. Murdstone, his mistreatment at the hands of Mr. Murdstone and his sister Jane, and his difficult experiences at the boarding school. The climax of the novel occurs when David runs away from his apprenticeship in London and returns to his aunt Betsey Trotwood for help. It is here that David discovers the truth about his family and makes a decision about his future. The following action of the story focuses on David's pursuit of his career as a writer and his relationships with various friends and family members, including his marriage to Doris Penlow and his friendship with the charming but dangerous Steerforth. The story's resolution involves David's ultimate realization of the importance of family and his reunion with his childhood friend Agnes Wakefield. The novel ends with David's marriage to Agnes and his new found of happiness and contentment.
When talking about the setting, we notice that the setting of David Copperfield is predominantly in England during the early to the middle 19th century. The novel is set in various locations throughout the country, including London, Canterbury, Dover, and Yarmouth, among others. The novel begins in the small town of Murdstone, in the county of Suffolk, where David Copperfield is born and raised later in the novel. David moves to London to pursue his career and becomes immersed in the city's bustling and often chaotic environment. The novel also depicts the stark contrast between the urban and rural environments of England at that time, as well as the differences in social class and wealth between various locations. Throughout the novel, the setting serves as a backdrop for the characters' experiences and plays a significant role in shaping their lives and world views. The vivid descriptions of various locations provide a rich and detailed portrayal of life in the 19th century England.
When talking about the characters, we have got the protagonist, David Copperfield, antagonist, Mr. Murdstone, Jane Murdstone, and Uriah Heep, round character, David Copperfield, Agnes Wakefield, and Mr. Micawber, flat character, Tommy Traddles, Aunt Betsey Trotwood, and Mr. Dick. Dynamic character, David Copperfield, Mr. Micawber, and Mr. Wickfield. Static character: Peggotty, Clara Copperfield, and Mrs. Micawber. Foil character: Uriah Heep, who contrasts with David Copperfield. Supporting characters: Emily Steerforth and Dora Spenlow. Stock character: Mrs. Gummidge, the gloomy and sad widow.
Concerning the themes, we've got the coming of age. A central theme of David Copperfield is the protagonist's journey from childhood to adulthood and his growth and development along the way. The story explores the challenges and joys of growing up, including the struggles with identity, the search for meaning, and the discovery of one's place in the world. We've also got the importance of family. Another important theme in David Copperfield is the significance of family and the relationships between parents and children. The story explores the bonds of love and loyalty that connect family members, as well as the tensions and conflicts that can arise when these bonds are strained or broken. Another important point here is social class and inequality. David Copperfield also explores the theme of social class and the inequalities that exist in society. The story highlights the struggles and hardships faced by those who are born in poverty or who are otherwise marginalized, as well as the prejudices and biases that perpetuate these inequalities. Moreover, we've got education and self-improvement. The theme of education and self-improvement is also prominent in David Copperfield. The story emphasizes the importance of education and the pursuit of knowledge, as well as the transformative power of self-reflection and personal growth. Finally, we've got betrayal and redemption. The story examines the consequences of betrayal and the challenges of forgiveness, as well as the possibility of redemption and the potential for growth and change, even in the face of great adversity.